If all your votes were done just from polling and metrics and you didn't even know who you were voting for, would you prefer that? We're going to talk about that form of government and others on the next Twisted 10.
Man, I wish I could play a musical instrument like that.
Can you count to 4?
I can, but
You can play a bass.
I don't have talent enough to do that. Welcome to another episode of The Twisted 10. We have a full studio tonight, but it's not the typical full studio. So I'm Adam. I'm one of your hosts. Sitting across from me,
Ron.
But we have no Josh tonight. In his place, we've upgraded through the Wilson and Lynn family a little bit. We have returning guest host of one of my favorite top 10 lists now, Mr. Dan Lynn. He hosted the top 10 reasons you should be drinking whiskey. Wait, that was right? Top 10 reasons you should be drinking whiskey, or why you should be drinking whiskey?
Yes, something like that. Drink whiskey, people.
Drink
Wonderful.
whiskey. And his beautiful wife, somebody I've known longer than Dan, but not a lot longer, is Stephanie.
Hi.
Welcome to the show. Where's Josh? Why did he alternate you guys up here for him? What's up with that?
He's on his way home from a bachelor party.
Oh, that's
in
right.
Georgia.
A 4-day-long bachelor party.
So I could play like I really knew that. I did know that, but I fucking forgot it. Even though he told us last Sunday that's what he doing.
Did you for real forget?
I forgot it was a bachelor party. I thought he was camping.
No, that's next week.
It's next week. That's why he's gone next weekend. That's
yeah.
right. That's right.
Speaking of bachelor parties, that's where you and I met.
Oh, that's a good point. Wait. Josh's first bachelor party, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
I remember that. Man, that turned into a train wreck. It was fun.
That
Yeah.
sounds like a fun after show.
It's a good story for later.
That is a great after story, but I can't tell that story without Josh actually being
Yeah,
here. We
he
should have
should be
him
here.
in
It
studio
was his
with us.
bachelor party.
I mean,
Yeah.
Josh actually wasn't there for the funniest part of the night.
Wait, which was that? Which one? Oh, with this at the
The Waffle House.
the Waffle House. I was gonna say IHOP, but yeah, at the Waffle House. Where do you go after a strip club and you and all your boys are pretty drunk and you have a DD?
Well, I used to go to Crystal's, but they closed it in Cocoa Beach next to the Interim. So
That's
now
right.
I guess I got to go to Denny's or Waffle House.
That's right. That's what you do. And those waitresses must go through a certain level of training to deal with that clientele that shows up at 3:00 in the morning.
Training.
No,
Come
that's
on,
just an
dude.
upgrade.
Is it just tolerance?
downgrade?
Is it a downgrade?
They select him in the interview.
It's just what they. Yeah, it's just you know.
Like, what qualifies you to work at Waffle House? I'll fucking stab you.
You're hired.
It's probably people that came there so many times, hammered off their ass. They just say, "Here, you're hired. Can
You're
you
hired.
Help those tables."
You're
over there?"
obviously awake at this hour, so we know you could work this shift. Come on in. Oh, that's awesome. Well, cool. Welcome to the studio, guys, and we love to have you up here as always. The studio is undergoing its own renovations now that the kitchen is 9/10 complete. We still have a little bit more work to do upstairs, but we have access to the roof and to a few other things. And I know, Dan, you're a carpenter and kind of more of a handyman than I am, but don't make fun of my temporary rig job for this air conditioning vent. It works. It works flawlessly, and it's the first time I ever used duct tape on a duct, believe it or not. But it's connected. What do you call it when two guys get together?
Docking.
I literally docked the other vent, the duct, into this new duct.
But
for the
why
extension.
did you use all your fingers? That's 8 guys.
It's an orgy. It's a lot of fun.
When you 8 guys get together, it's all your fingers.
but-
2 fingers.
He's a coctopus.
Nice.
Damn it. I was going to bring it out where I should have here. However, my electrician still has to come back and redo all of this electric.
What's wrong with all that electricity there? It looks so normal to me. And yeah,
We'll go back
safe.
to Dan's comment. Coctopus is what it looks like up there.
Looks like a bird's nest.
It's
coming
safe
out of here.
now. I actually I paid him a little bit extra just to tidy up the connections inside here, because if you think that
Oh,
looked
so
bad,
this is
in
an
here,
improvement.
Inside this was ridiculous. Yeah, he's
Nice.
surprised that I hadn't blown circuits left and right. Like, he's like, I can't believe you don't just trip left and right for all of these circuits. I'm like, I know. So anyway, thank you for bearing with us, but we are going to be working on the studio. I've bought some of the supplies for the sound dampening, and we're going to do track lights. We're doing walls, framing everything in, going to have a nice floor. It's going to be kind of fun. We're debating on whether or not to have lounge style seating, or if we're going to go table in the middle, so we all sit at a table and kind of do stuff. And we're still
I
deciding
kind of
on
like
that.
more the way we have it now, where we just kind of all have our own little relaxed setting.
And not like a boardroom.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to just sit around a table. It feels too formal to me.
I mean, I could work with either one, so it doesn't really
I
matter.
like this
Josh likes the table. You like the lounge.
he does?
I'll be Sweden. Wait, who never
Sweden's
votes?
neutral.
Neutral? Yeah, so I'm Sweden in this. So you guys have to arm wrestle or, I don't know,
That would
pose
be the
off.
saddest arm wrestle.
I can make you guys a dope ass table.
Really?
Yeah, I can't make a couch, but I can make a table.
Quiet, I don't want a
hey.
table.
Let's we'll talk about it. 'Cause that's something I'm very, very interested in is comparing what it would be like in here to have that, because we're also going to be streaming every show as well. So we're gonna next recording, we're gonna have a friend of ours in the studio that's gonna have a really nice high definition for 360 degrees 4K streamable camera setup, a nice rig, and we want to play with it and see what our experience is with it. And it's also figuring out how to integrate it with all of our sounds and everything too. So it'll be fun. It'll be a big investment if we go to buy one, but I think it'd be worth it for the studio.
Don't you have a tenant living here who's like really good at video editing?
yeah. Is it my son? Yes. However, I don't want to. He's never worked 360. So when you work 360, it's not just Premiere. It's another application to edit 360 degree video, because it's not. It's like it's if you're the browser sitting at home, you can move around the whole time. It's streaming 360 at all times. It doesn't pan, tilt, zoom. It is a bubble camera, one of the ones that captures everything from all directions.
I got you.
So he doesn't know how to edit inside that yet. So we're working on that. But yes, I do. Good idea. All right. So it's not my list tonight. Our guests didn't bring a list. So Ron?
That leaves me. My
All right.
list. But before we kick off the show, normally this
good
is like
call.
a Josh thing, right? But I brought this little cheat sheet here of what we're supposed to say.
I thought you were
But
going to
it's
talk about
supposed
what
to
Dan
just-
brought us to
It
drink.
was just supposed to flow. Well, let me say this stuff first so
All
I can
right,
get
do
out
it.
of the way.
Knock it out.
So before we kick it off, I read it like Josh just flows with it. Before we kick it off, a big thanks to our Twisted Council
Hell yeah.
for their support of the show. You guys are awesome.
One of the council members was who helped us get a hell of a big discount on this Rodecaster Pro.
Thank you so much.
Clayton.
Also to our listeners hanging out with us in Discord for the live stream. And if you're enjoying the show, we have more behind the scenes for you. Go to twisted10.com
Almost got it right.
for the info and links. So twisted10.com.
Yeah, at the bottom is a Discord link. Click that. You can get to the Discord. It's free. It doesn't cost anybody anything. So you can hop in our group chat with us, send us ideas. If you're a Twisted Council member, which is Patreon, then you get a special group that you get access to inside Discord, as well as a special title and all this other fun stuff. So we show some love to our Discord council members. All right, so what are we drinking, Dan? You brought... So coming off the heels of one of my favorite Twisted 10 episodes ever, which is the whiskey one, you brought some samplers up here for us. What is this?
It's
Rod just sipped it.
it's not really a sample. It's good. It's an interesting one I picked up just because they had it.
Smells good.
It's a Knob Creek Barrel Proof Rye, barreled in 2010.
Nice.
But I wanted to get your reaction of tasting it before I tell you how strong it is.
Yeah, I haven't actually.
It's not strong at all. It's very mild.
So we're gonna
Drink
put
it
on-
all in one shot.
I need a sound effect on here, like highfalutin, like dignified, high class. Yeah, I need it. So
I look at the legs.
we'll start off the legs. It's got nice legs. The
got
legs
nice
are
legs.
they hang for
like Dan over there. He has nice legs.
they do hang for a while. The legs on these things are not budging. Usually you'll see the alcohol distillation fall down in 5 to 10 seconds. So not this. This is hanging on pretty long. All right, so let's give it a sniff.
Oh, that sounded painful.
It was a little bit. I've got a deviated septum, so half of my nose doesn't
Let's
work.
give it a sniff.
Like, it smells good, but
Insert whistle sound. No.
it's pretty hot.
Yeah, it's got a spicy smell.
That's the rye.
Adam is drinking. It was too long, too much silence for a radio show.
That bites back.
Yeah,
man.
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it bites.
How much do you think it bites back?
Yeah, let me try it again. Hang on a minute. It might take a couple more glasses.
Yeah, I've taken a couple sips. The first one I took in silence.
Yeah.
You guys didn't see me dying over here. The second time, it was like, whoa.
That's pretty.
It's
It's got a
good,
hell
though.
of a bite.
It's good.
All right, so you're looking for proof. I would say
Proof. It's right here. I see it.
the only other Knob Creek I've had is actually, I think, from you during that show.
I actually never bought any Knob Creek before this bottle.
Really?
You know what? The third sip and it's like just goes right down.
Yeah.
That's what a typical Scotch
like
usually
Takes
does.
a few sips.
It's
so.
like spicy syrup. Once it coats your tongue, you're totally prepared to it.
I would go.
That sounds horrible.
I would probably say 46 proof, so 85 to 90% alcohol.
I'll reverse it. No, this is 127 proof.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
God damn.
So 63.5% alcohol?
Yes, sir.
Bam!
Math.
Totally mathed on that one.
I did have the percentage and the proof backwards, but damn, that's
I tried
good.
it and I thought this has no business being this good for this high proof. But
That's good.
It's-
Yeah, I'm impressed.
I do want you to know about another bottle of Angel's Envy upstairs.
you sent me a picture of it.
I was
Did
like,
I? That night? No, but I haven't. I
Oh,
just
you
bought
have
another
another-
2 days ago.
another bottle.
Yeah, dude, I've
We-
gone through like 3 of them since that picture.
Yeah, dude, we fucked up one of those bottles
We
one night
killed-
on the show.
We killed one bottle of Angel's Envy in here during the recording.
Remember that the first night we started this? Well, you started it really, Dan. Then a few weeks later, I decided, I'm gonna buy some bourbon. So I go and I buy a bottle of Evan Williams with honey liqueur because I was being a pussy about it. And
but it was-
but it was really
It
good.
was Evan Williams honey.
Yes,
Is the
exactly.
Tennessee honey or something? It's,
Yeah, it was really good.
Dude,
So
we killed that too.
We crushed that bottle. Next week, I think we crushed your Angel's Envy bottle.
Then we
Then
half
there was
crushed Maker's
some-
Mark.
yeah.
Josh brought in a Maker's Mark.
And we crushed
And
pretty
then-
much messed that. And then the
and then
next week
Dude,
was the Scotch.
I brought a Scotch in.
Oh, God.
And we are not sponsored, but God damn it, we need to be sponsored by a liquor company or a Scotch rum
We'll
whiskey
just
type.
take a free bottle
rum.
of liquor a week.
Yeah,
That's
that's
all
true.
we need.
I mean,
Um,
find a Florida distillery. There
Bon-
are them.
Oh, that's a good point. Bon Volat. I don't remember the name of it, but it's a
Balvenie?
That sounds right. Balvenie.
It's a Scotch.
Scotch. Yeah, like a age 16-year.
That's good shit.
It's like a $80 bottle.
Man, God, I got
we
destroyed.
we
on that
destroyed
stuff.
that.
That was great.
Ron, during the second half of the show,
Oh,
he was slurring words.
I went
If
back and listened. I'm like, ooh, this is bad.
What show was that? I think I was hosting.
You're
Was I
asking me
hosting?
to remember? I have no idea. It was
No, it
definitely
was
not
Josh,
my show.
because you and I get shit faced when
Yes.
it's Josh's turn to
Yeah.
host.
Josh was hosting, so you and I got wrecked.
He had to
There
catch
was
up.
times where I was afraid to make eye contact with Josh because I'd get the dad eyes. I was afraid to make eye contact with you because I would just start laughing for no
Yeah.
reason during his show.
Josh does. He's accomplished a lot for his age. He's very what's the word? While he's not here, we can kind of make fun of him, but also give him a little bit of props.
Talk mad shit.
He's
impressive.
professional.
He is a professional, but he's a professional that still has real close ties to his party day. I mean, he's still a young man, but he carries himself.
Yeah, he runs a cult.
Yeah, that's true. He carries himself in here sometimes.
I just never heard it considered that.
Teamwork.
Yes.
We talk about it all the time.
runs the cult. I never thought about it that way. It kind of is though, isn't it?
Although Josh
That's
would humbly deny that he runs the cult. It's more of a collective.
He's the one with
like
the tattoo.
like the
though.
Borg hive mind.
As soon as Josh starts telling all the women that they have to stop having sex with their men and have
And
to
only
have sex with him, that's
No,
a
no,
true
I
cult.
am his sister. No.
Oh no, everything goes in a cult.
except for his sister.
I mean, I think by definition we are a cult. I say I'm also.
Oh, are you in the cult?
Oh, yeah.
too? Oh,
it's the greatest
It's not a cult if you're in it and you know it's a cult.
I'm in it, but
That's
I'm
not a cult.
I'm like the
Adam also is. He has the flag.
I'm like
Oh,
the
that's
tribe.
true. You're
hanging behind him.
got the cult flag.
I'm
right
like
there.
the tribe elder. Some of the jokes that I say go over these guys' heads so fast.
And
it doesn't.
I know I must not be.
Or I'm like, oh, there's the old guy.
I must
joking
not
around.
be cult material because I'm not even allowed in the Discord chat. You know, much less be a
It's
member.
not well, unless there's a Discord I don't know about. It's Telegram.
Oh, Telegram chat. That's what it was.
It's
See,
more like-
that's how little I know about it.
It's more like half cult, half frat
Yeah. Okay.
characteristics, but
It's
same
a
but
frult.
diff. Yes,
There we go.
It's a cat.
It's a frult.
But anyway,
Frult
the
works
point,
a
I
little
was,
more.
the
It's
point
a
I was
cat.
making is that Josh gives he can be a goofy, 17-year-old style person every once in a while, but in here he will throw Ron looks that are straight
he
up
will.
a dad looking down on his son in disappointment.
Yes.
He throws them at Ron. Okay, I get them occasionally, but he throws them at Ron about once a
great.
show.
It's
I would
great.
say.
It
He's
happens
my
at
brother-in-law.
D&D.
Does it really?
Yeah, because sometimes we get a little crazy, and he was our DM for a while, and
D&D
we would
is
see-
Dungeons and Dragons, and DM is Dungeon Master.
Yeah.
It's somebody who controls the board of D&D. Still want to learn how to play that fucking game.
It's so
Yeah, I've
fun.
never
Oh,
played.
do you?
I do, but I
my
don't have
daughter,
time.
my
It's
daughter
always
is
on me.
dying to
Make
play.
it
She
an
wants to play so
episode.
bad.
We played this
thought about
morning,
that.
just Hannah and I, with Dan running the game.
Yes.
Everybody else bailed on us.
My daughter wants to play so bad. She wants to play Dungeons and Dragons. So gotta find her a group to play with.
You know, I have a friend who's like, his dream is to.
Talk slowly.
Apologize now. The Discord stream laptop's battery is about to die, so I guess it's not plugged in.
Oh, balls. And there's a
No,
cat.
We might drop if you're listening on
He's in the
Discord.
cult too.
You might drop out. So I apologize if that happens. If it does, it does. So be it.
Your kids have like
Wow,
a shirt
you're
that
re-
says future member. or
You're really
whatever.
broken
That's
up
true.
about it there, Adam. If it does,
Well,
it
I don't know.
does. Fuck
I'm
you
not.
guys.
I'm not searching for the cables in the middle of the recording.
Yeah, I
It
know.
ain't
I
gonna
understand.
happen.
I gotcha.
But-
I gotcha. Adam prepared as usual.
Well, I didn't even know how to get into the damn laptop of her. Don't you
know.
give me a hard time.
I know. I'm just messing with you.
All right, we ready to do this?
Yeah.
All right,
do it.
Ron. This show is now officially yours, my friend.
All right. So what I have here for you today is this is Ron's, of course, my list. Top 10, can't say it, forms of government.
Like capitalism, that kind of stuff, democracy.
Yeah, but I left all
Cult.
that. I left
They
yeah.
made Hamilton interesting. You got this.
But I left all that boring capitalism, the
Oh,
obvious
okay.
communism, all that stuff. Nah, I left that one out.
I
I
see
went
what you're
for
doing. You waited for
unique-
Josh to be gone to
I went-
sprinkle in a little bit of politics. I see what you're doing.
Actually, when I was writing this, I didn't remember that. I didn't
Oh.
remember that. Remember, I messaged him in Discord and I said,
right.
"Hey, man, you gonna be there on time?" He's like, "I'm not gonna be in town till 10." I'm like, "Well, I guess we're not recording." He's like, "That's why Dan is substituting." I was like, "Oh, I forgot it. I went Adam on it and totally forgot that he had said that." So no, I didn't realize as I was doing this list, I had forgotten about that. So
I see.
It's
The
just
only rule that we have on the show.
coincidentally worked.
Well, one of two rules. We
Yeah.
don't really talk about COVID, but because people are
Yeah,
sick
people
of
are
hearing
just
it.
tired of
But we
COVID,
don't ever get into politics. We don't ever stand on a soapbox and get on that. Every once in a while,
We leave
Ron will
that for in
sprinkle it
between.
in.
It isn't just Ron.
No, 100% you.
Yeah, you have even Josh once in a blue moon has sprinkled it in.
That's true.
Yeah, it's not just Ronnie boy.
All right. What you got
so
for
it's
us,
top
buddy?
10 forms of government. So I
Is there any
I've
twist here?
No, there's no twist.
Okay.
So I scoured the internet looking for more like unique forms of government. Not all of these governments are actually practicing governments. Many are just created in theory. You know what I mean? Like by I don't know, scholars, if you will. So let's get to it. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
Yes.
All right, number 10 I can't even pronounce, but I'm gonna I'm gonna try. Number 10, or as I have on my list, number 1, because I still can't figure out how to take word and number backwards. Is I thought I had it. I was like, you just do this, this, and this, and I went in there and shit didn't work. It still says 1 through 10. So number 10, geniocracy. So it's GENIOCRACY.
Geniocracy?
Gene-
Like
Is it by
genetic?
age?
Geniocracy. It's no.
Or by
bloodline.
bloodline?
I'm going to describe it. It's
I
right
like
there. The
Oh,
term
sweet.
geniocracy comes from the word genius
Oh.
and describes a system that is designed to select for intelligence and compassion as the primary factors for governance.
Oh, that's like the show. What was the show?
Idiocracy.
Idiocracy. Yeah, when the smartest person becomes president.
While having a democratic electoral apparatus, it differs from traditional liberal democracy by instead suggesting that candidates for office and the body electorate should meet a certain minimal criterion of problem-solving or creative intelligence. The thresholds proposed by the Raelians. Now, we've talked about the Raelians before, and I don't remember what they were. I think you had to go back to an old show. Couldn't tell you which show because I can't remember when we talked about it.
Sounds like the cult of Ray.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, there
Ray
you go.
Burritos.
Yeah,
Ray Liotta.
Ray Liotta. Nice. Proposed by the Raelians are 50% above the mean for an electoral candidate and 10% above the mean for an elector. The author of Geniocracy recommends, though does not necessitate, a world government with 12 regions. This kind of starts to sound like Hunger Games. Inhabitants would vote for which region they want. Oh,
I'm holding up a number 3
I was
in
like,
the
why
air.
are you putting up your hand?
I
Are we supposed to
volunteer
stop the
as
show?
tribute.
Okay, I volunteer as tribute. Inhabitants would vote for which region they want to be part of. After the regions are defined, they are further divided into 12 sectors after the same principle of democracy is applied. While sectors of the same region are defined as having equal numbers of inhabitants, the regions themselves may have different levels of population, which would be proportional to its voting power. But the whole point about it is you have to be a certain amount above the mean intelligence in order to govern. So Donald Trump's out.
Easy.
You know, as I was typing that, I made that joke. I was like, I'm totally making this joke.
As a retort, Fumble McFumbleton is also out too.
Yeah.
Come on.
Fumble McFumbleton? Who is that?
Just go.
I don't know. There, see, I at least said the name.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I was skirting around it. I was just retorting the
I could
jab.
have come up with other names.
All right. So in this, you have to pass an IQ test effectively
much.
to be any kind of government official,
Exactly.
from president down to cabinet
You
member.
can't be stupid.
All
Bottom
right.
line. Yep.
I would imagine it has to be more than traditional IQ tests were used to measure children.
How do you spell the Raelianism?
Raelians.
Yeah.
Raelians.
It's classified as a UFO religion.
Yeah, it is. I've heard that. Okay, I remember that now.
Yo, what the fuck is that symbol on your phone? That is a hybrid of a swastika and a Star of David.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
But there you go. So it's a geniocracy.
Not trustworthy.
So there's problems with that because of course.
You think?
Well, of course, there's problems with all governments, even what we've got now. I got that. I understand that. However, what I see there is part of the bigger problem, more or less, would be you don't have a government that is representative of the people in that case. Because you've got the incredibly brilliant people who are running things, but that doesn't mean that they represent the mass population. I don't want to say of dodos out there, but of people that can't pass these levels of tests. So are we just, in that case, in that scenario, are we just going to assume that those people that are so intelligent also have the empathetic side of them to be able to govern on behalf of those that are less intelligent?
It actually has that too. It actually has designed to select for intelligence and compassion. Says that specifically. Because there's time. I mean, we know that actually most of the people in our government are probably very intelligent, but they lack some maybe moral scruples or what have you.
High intelligence has a really high coincidence with sociopaths.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So compassion as well.
That explains a lot about my old bosses.
How do you measure that, though? How do you measure compassion?
That's a very good
It's
question.
kind of arbitrary.
Really
The compassionator? Come on, man.
Yeah.
I mean, with the way society's going, you just, have a reality show that plays pranks on these people and then records it for the world to see live.
In the Bible, they ripped apart a baby to see who was the mom.
Oh, just see who would scream?
He suggested it. He suggested it. And the mom was like, "No, don't rip apart my baby." He's like, "You're obviously the mom, because this bitch was gonna let it happen."
Have you ever read the book? It's a very short book, but it's more of a letter called "A Letter to a Christian Nation." Mm-mm. It's an amazing read. It's a letter to literally to the Christian nation around the world, but it's from an atheist, and it is basically an eye-opening statement that says, your religion says that these are some of the practices you have to do, yet you don't because it's socially unacceptable. Oh, and by the way, your book, be it the Bible in either version of the Testaments, is the exact same and has the exact same moral implications as multiple other books from all these other different religions. So wake up. There is no difference between all. It's an amazing read. If it's short, it's like maybe 2,000 words. It's not that big. But it's an amazing read. So check that thing out.
Oh,
A Letter to a Christian Nation. It's cool.
All right.
Hold on one second.
No,
because
go ahead.
That gave me time to think about something with the intelligent governing the unintelligent. In theory, over time, intelligent, effective leadership would bring up the average intelligence of the population.
You can't. So that's an interesting study.
In theory,
you can't bring intelligence up other than by breeding. Because you can't change somebody's intelligence. As far as IQ goes, I don't know about the other compassion scales that they're using. An IQ can only be affected by how the baby is brought up in its developmental times as well as in the womb, and then very minusculely later in life. I read a book on this Not saying that makes me an expert. However, intelligence doesn't change. Your IQ as a kid, let's say you're scaled at 140 as a kid. When you're an adult, be it like 70, you're still right around that 140 mark. But it's more applicable to things that are more advanced because you're now older and have more experiences. But your intelligence quota doesn't change. So the only way to change the average intelligence quota is by breeding smarter babies. That's unfortunately the only way to do it. Your Best Brain. It's an awesome book.
But the internet is letting more stupid people hook up and get together and make stupid
That's
babies.
idiocracy. What was your question there, Dan?
Oh, well, it wasn't necessarily a question. That was just the thought. And then also, if the unintelligent only have verified intelligent people to choose from, then the selection would also end up being easier. It's still a representative government.
That's true.
But you pick that person.
I'm looking up real quick who your best. Oh, John Medina. Your Best Brain by John Medina. That's a cool read as well. Look at me. I'm tossing out Audible plugs left and right here.
Look at you. Okay. Number 9.
Number 9.
Meritocracy, which you probably have heard of, is a political system in which the economic goods and or political power are vested in individual people on the basis of talent, effort, and achievement rather than wealth or social class. Advancement in such a system is based on performance as measured through examination of demonstrated achievement. Although the concept of meritocracy has existed for centuries, the term itself was coined in 1958 by the sociologist Michael Dunlap Young in his dystopian political and satirical book, The Rise of the Meritocracy. In 2007, an anonymous British group called the Meritocracy Party published its first manifesto, to which they have now added more than 2 million words on the subject. In summary, the Meritocracy Party wants to achieve the following: a world in which every child gets an equal chance to succeed in life, the abolishment of party politics, only those with a relevant education and work experience should be allowed to vote rather than just anyone who has reached the age of 18 or 21, the introduction of 100% inheritance tax so that the super rich can no longer pass on their wealth to a select few, the privileged children. This would mean the end of the elite dynasties and hereditary monarchy, a radically reformed educational system based on the MBTI personality types, and insights from radical innovators such as Rudolf Steiner and Maria Montessori. I don't know who those people are. Did I just hear a cat meow?
I texted Andrea to let her in upstairs.
Okay.
She's up the top of the
funny.
stairs trying to get in.
To replace free market capitalism with social capitalism, and to replace democracy with a fully transparent meritocracy republic under a meritocratic constitution, the end of nepotism, cronyism, discrimination, privilege, and unequal chances.
So it ends party politics by creating one single party.
Exactly. This is 1984 all over again.
That's interesting, though. The most shocking part of that whole statement was the complete 100% tax on, what was it? On, you can't hand down your inheritance tax. Thank you.
Introduction of 100% inheritance tax.
So
you may have all my money, but we're going to tax 100% of it.
So that means a bunch of like people right on their deathbed are going to be doing some extremely expensive things. They're going to go blow $10,000 in a strip club. And
did you say?
I did say strip club. Did say strip club.
Strip club. Strip club. I love it.
They'll just put it into giant blue pieces of art, and then
it's a little bit
the art.
It's a little bit crazy on certain circumstances. Like, I can see taxing that kind of thing for, I guess, maybe some reasons, but, you know, dad's driving home from the airport after a big business trip and gets creamed by a semi-truck, and, oh, your family gets nothing. They're now poor.
Yeah, that's
Welcome
rough.
to the Merit House, bros.
So I guess you would really just be passing on your wealth to them maybe when you were alive. Like in other ways, trying to set them up, not just through a pure inheritance.
I guess.
No more trust fund babies.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, how else would you do it? You would have to. You would have to do, you know, just
Money.
But then again, you don't know. I mean, that's You to Dan's point, you don't know. You could be perfectly healthy, 45-year-old millionaire with some young children, and then bam, hit by a truck, and there goes all their money.
Yep.
I feel like most people who have that much money, though, it's offshore, so that they don't.
If
have
I
to
lived in a
pay tax.
meritocracy, yeah, goddamn right it would be.
Yeah. Definitely some Bohemian bank accounts.
I'd be willing to bet that it's less
Or
people
Switzerland.
than you would think would have offshore bank accounts. I mean, billionaires, okay, that's different. That's
the
that's an
people
extreme.
who have like the inheritance tax would affect. Like it wouldn't affect like my parents giving me money.
Well, and is that a tax on just
okay, I see your point.
liquid cash inheritance, or do you have to pay 100% of the value of all assets you inherit?
Yeah, if
That's
my
fucked.
if my parents kick the bucket and the inheritance they're giving me, which is a house, would that be then the government's house?
Yeah, you have to buy that house from the government. It just belongs to them.
Yeah, that sucks.
That's how we're like, yep.
So are we taking note of which ones we vote for and against? Because I'm against this one.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I like either one so far. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I'm down for any of these.
However,
Democracy is number one.
Yeah.
meritocracy got a real catchy name. It immediately makes you think, oh yeah, government based on merit. Oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Man, I thought of like maritime, like pirates.
Maritime. Maritime. Arr.
The pirates had
meritocracy.
free health insurance.
They did.
That's true, and no teeth. And wooden
scurvy.
legs.
Yeah,
Scurvy pirates.
and they were LGBT, etc. friendly.
Pirates were?
Yeah, who do you think they fucked while they were spending 6 months out at sea together?
That's a
Each
damn
other?
good point.
Yeah, historically they respected the unions of pirates with each other.
That's interesting.
I'm still wanting to know what to do with them hook arms.
They take them off.
Oh, is that what it is?
I just
Nah,
always
I
assumed
doubt
that's what
it.
the cabin boy was for. I just assumed that that's what that character was supposed to be on those.
The
ships.
what?
The cabin boy.
Oh,
A rape slave?
that's a great movie.
Basically, yeah.
Great
well,
movie.
think about your era that you're in. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the idea appeals to me or anything. What?
I don't know.
You want to be cabin boy?
No.
These pipes
are clean. That's from a movie called Cabin Boy.
It's called
wasn't it?
Cabin Boy.
She did not let in your cat.
All right, let me go let this here. Carry on. I'm going to go let the pussy in.
Okay.
What?
I'm gonna go ahead. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go.
I'm gonna go ahead to number 8. You guys ready?
Ocho.
Holacracy. Oclocracy. I can't pronounce it. It's another one I can't pronounce.
Oclocracy?
It's OCLOCRACY, also known as mob rule, is the rule of government by a mob or mass of people and the intimidation of legitimate authorities, insofar as it represents a pejorative, wow, the big words, for majoritarianism. I think I said that word. It is akin to the Latin phrase mobile vulgus, whatever that means, meaning the fickle crowd, from which the English term mob originally was derived in the 1680s. Ochlocracy, which I'm butchering.
How's it spelled?
OCHLOCRACY. So
Ochlocracy.
Ochlocracy. That's where you're. It's by a clock. Ochlocracy is synonymous in meaning and usage to the modern informal term mobocracy, which arose in the 18th century as a colloquial neologism. These words. Neologism. Neolog.
Did you say legitimate?
Legism. Likewise, whilst the ruling mobs in what did you say it was called?
I forgot already.
Ochlocracies.
It's like a 5 o'clock democracy.
Yeah, there you go. May sometimes genuinely reflect the will of the majority in a manner approximating democracy. Ochlocracy is characterized by the absence or impairment of a procedural, civil, and democratic process. So it's pretty much just a free for all. It's like anarchy. It's just like Somalia.
So no
right
civil,
now,
no
honestly.
civil process at all.
No, it's like Somalia right now. It's just mobs of people
So
with
the
guns
judicial
in the
system-
streets, and I think it's just like anarchy.
Absent.
So in the face of no actual government,
it's a
what
government-
happens?
it's a
The
government
bullies, the bullies rule.
So it's a government
bottom
with a
line.
face only, by face only. So in that case, it's here is your government. How they got there and what they're allowed to do is unlimited, and how they got there is irrelevant.
I don't even know that you know who the government is with this. I think it's just people, just like mobsters, if you will. You know what I mean? Just people probably running around with like guns and groups of people.
Johnny
like
Four
that.
Eyes and 88 teeth over here.
Yeah,
I gotta
something
knock
like
in
that.
the local coppers. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, something to that effect. I thought that one was
Oh wait,
weird.
you were going more thug style gangster. which gangster were you going? I was thinking mob style.
No, I was thinking like
1930s.
Yeah, see, yeah.
All
There we go. No, I wasn't thinking like thug life gangster.
All right.
So wait, is
No.
this rule by mob rule like a large group of people with the same train of thought?
I
will
think
fuck
so.
You up if you don't listen, or is this
Exactly.
mob rule like
Like mobsters? No, I think
yeah,
it's what you said, the first one.
okay?
You know,
Yeah.
if history has taught us anything, individuals are capable of making compassionate, smart choices. Mob mentality takes over, and it's this weird sociological experiment that happens every time there's rioting or every time there's some sort of, mass problem that's occurring. Mob mentality changes a person's train of thinking. It changes your what happens when you drink alcohol and your
Inhibitions.
your inhibitions completely change in a mob mentality. Sociologists have studied mob mentalities for years. It's fascinating.
Interesting. Some mob of drunk people ruling the country. I like it.
I want to start.
Isn't that where we're at now? Sorry, Dan.
I want to start the world's. I don't know if there's ever been one, maybe, but like a good mob. I guess a flash mob is a good mob. It brings joy to people. And it's a group of people.
Flash mobocracy.
Except for that one old man that's really pissed off that he can't make it to his train. That one guy, he hates flash mobs,
well,
but everybody else loves him.
Fuck that guy. But
Flash mob.
no,
Yeah, it's
it's
been a
just-
long time.
You
since
imagine,
I've seen that.
mob. You think mob mentality is usually like, oh, people kind of lose control of their better judgment and they start fucking everything up. What if like this mob comes to you, around you, and you're like, I'm gonna join this mob. What are we mobbing about? And they're like, oh man, it's hugs for everybody. And it's just like this kind mob, and people are like, oh, I would never do that. But mob mentality takes over, and it's like, these 30,000 people are all just running around like hugging and high
Let's do
fiving
it.
and good cheer, and you're like, yeah, that does sound like a good idea because all these people are doing it. Like,
Isn't that kind of how cults start? Speaking of.
I know our key cult person isn't here. We can't ask Josh.
God, that's funny. Poor guy. We're picking on him.
That's
He's
be
not
an
here.
interesting experiment, though.
right, dude? See if you could get people on board and just like lose control with kindness.
Like you have a test group of, let's say, 100 college students. All right, and then those 100 college students need to go out into an area that is they have their theme, their good mob. End result they want the people to do. So they have that set up ahead of time. They know what they want to get people to do, and then they go out into populated areas and try to get the people on board with that positive mob mentality.
Yeah, and with
That'd be cool to see
with
if it
like
would.
signs and chants
in.
like, "Hey, what's your name, Joe? Joe's the man." And like 30 people just hype Joe up, and then just move on. Maybe Joe joins, and then he gets in on the fun. I don't know. That sounds like a lot of fun to me. Just like a fun, kind, benevolent mob.
Sound like his thought is like completely optimistic. I'm just thinking of people with like, just people who
Pitchforks
go
and
and
tiki torches?
steal U-Hauls and just have a bunch of people with like guns and stuff in the back of a truck, taking over neighborhoods,
Yeah, except-
robbing, raping, pillaging.
Except
Every
for
apocalypse movie.
Yeah.
That's called the purge.
Yes, that's the way I envision a mob rule.
Except they're the government, so they're stealing like helicopters and tanks.
Oh yes.
I mean, I guess in a way that makes people happy, sort of too, just in a weirder and more violent way.
not the people they kill.
Oh, not the victims.
Yeah, exactly.
But they don't know at the end.
Yeah, that's true. If they're dead, they don't
It
remember.
seems highly effective to get everyone in line. Can't beat them, join them.
Yeah.
Kind of a situation.
Exactly. So thought that one was interesting. That Akla, what'd you say it was
It's
called?
5 o'clockracy, man.
5 o'clockeracy?
Cockliceracy.
A cocklersy?
I don't know.
Cocklersy. That sounds even better.
We're there.
Okay.
Octopussy.
Number 7.
Number 7.
Futarchi or Futarki, something like that. I'm telling you, I can't pronounce any
You're
of
going to have to
these.
spell every one of these.
Futarchy. Futar. Futar-chy. Futarchi?
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 I think I bought my TV. I think they make my TV.
No.
They probably do.
I think it's Futarki.
I just bought a 45-inch TV for $200. It was probably brand Futarchi. The idea of Futarchi was later. I have 2 definitions of this because there was so little information on it, but I thought it was just interesting enough to put it on the list. So I kind of put two kind of different definitions together. So I'll read one then the other. The idea of Futarchi was later. Misread that. Futarchi doesn't focus on voting on politicians or legislation, but rather values. Their slogan, vote values but bet beliefs. People would vote on metrics on how well their country is doing rather than policies. Prediction markets would then pick the best policies that then match those metrics. So another description of this is, futarchy is a form of government proposed by economist Robin Hanson, in which elected officials define measures of national well-being, and prediction markets are used to determine which policies will have the most positive effect. It was named by the New York Times as a buzzword of 2008. The idea of futarchy was later introduced in the context of blockchains and the DAO, bringing it closer to an actual implementation. That's the only information I could find.
You said a lot of great stuff in there, but I still don't understand what the fuck
it's something about
futocry is.
Yeah, it says something about voting on your values and just voting for the results. Bottom line, just voting for the results.
Voting for the results. I don't understand. What does that mean?
People would vote on metrics on how well their country is doing rather than policies. Like this graph here says A, B, C, D, E. Yeah, we're doing great. Let's just vote to keep doing this. So we're not voting for Adam or Dan because Adam or Dan say this or that. We're literally voting on whoever's up there controlling this shit. This stuff that you're doing is working great. Let's keep doing this shit. This stuff over here, you see these bar graphs? Now this shit sucks. We got to do something different here. That's literally all you're doing. You're just voting for what they're supposed to. So you're voting for what they're supposed to do, not for who they are.
So the arms of the government that are fulfilling the roles of those items that you're voting on their success or failures, those would be your politicians. However, we don't know them by their names. They don't.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who they are. They just do whatever we vote
their
for
job
them
is
to do,
inside that group,
and we vote based off the metrics.
This
if
sounds
you will.
like a plug-in to anarchy. You
really?
don't need any elected leaders if you have a system like this in place, and unfortunately, a bureaucracy to carry things out.
Huh.
So you literally just need managers. They have no power. They just, if you're not productive, they fire you. But that's anarchy. No rulers. This is like a plug-in to
But
anarchy.
still people, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
I mean,
like the people are the
no
rulers.
politicians. I don't know about rule, but no politicians.
Yeah, for sure.
People still have their finger on the button, but they're only doing what they're told to do by the voters, and the voters are voting based off results and metrics, etc. It sounds actually like it could really work, although, I mean, our system.
It would take politics out of politics.
Yes, there would be no politics.
Oh, America's favorite sport goes away? Boo fucking who.
America's favorite sport. It's true. Actually, it's true. So, what do you guys think about that? Yay or nay on the futocracy?
I see how it would work.
I could imagine it in like a smaller country, but not like in the U.S. I don't think that would be possible.
That is the most conservative, resistant to change answer ever.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't think it could work with a lot
there's
of people.
there's too much emotion tied into politics in the U.S. It would be too hard for us to get from point A to point B there.
It's really hard to quit smoking crack too, but
it's
you
not
should
a matter
do it.
of. Okay, so I don't want to think about it this way. Don't think about
crack.
Don't think about the U.S.
rest
as
in
it
peace,
is
DMX.
now and trying to get there from where we are here, because no, that's an impossible climb.
I just think there's too
Think
many
about if you
people.
could blink your eyes and just make any kind of government structure happen, something I've named, will name, or something different. Is this something you would consider? If you could just blink your eyes and just make it happen, then instantly this is the way we are.
I
Is
can
this
see that
something
one.
you
I
could
can
do?
see the futocracy or
Futarchy.
whatever. I can see that working, but there's too many gaps there for my understanding. Like how would the judicial system work? How would the electorals happen for things like Supreme Court levels? That kind of stuff.
Most of these you could go into Wikipedia and read for like 30 minutes. This is one that pretty much everything I put is more than what was even on Wikipedia for this one.
It's a plug-in to anarchy. I don't think the judicial system would run any different. It would just be the people voting on how
because
the
that could
laws
still
are
be corrupt
changed
as
if they're
hell,
changed, or if they're changed.
Yeah, true. The people would vote for what laws
if you were
were and weren't.
If you were put into,
in effect,
what do you call it, a jury duty. So you're called into jury duty. You listen to the case and then you vote on it. Like you vote your poll. Like, this guy did a great job of presenting the case as this guy being guilty. He gets 75% of my vote. This guy did a good job of presenting his case of being innocent. He gets 25. The polls would then be 75-25. Is that what
Well, the way justice works with a jury is.
Well, I know how it works now. I
Yeah.
was talking about in his futarkery.
still-
Well, right,
There's
but
still
why would
laws?
you change?
Yeah, I would imagine
unanimous
there's still
decision
laws.
of proven guilt.
Yeah, you don't have
That's
to
a
change
good
the
law.
ju-
That's
I don't
not
think you have
something I
to
don't think
change the
anyone would
judicial
change.
system. I think you're just changing the political system.
Yeah. I would,
And
I
the
would
way
be okay with
and the
it,
way we
I think.
create policy, law, everything's just done completely different. No more politicians just voting on it based off metrics, and the people that are in quote unquote in charge, really, we don't even know who they are. They're just
So
faceless,
laws would be
nameless
polls
people.
then, too?
It's just a job. Like you probably go interview for it or something.
I like it a lot. I see it as a way to completely eliminate
Yeah,
the
I
upper
could go.
echelon of politicians.
I could go for some version of that. Sounds like. I mean, we'll never get to it. I'm not saying we could, but
And we
some
could s-
version of that would be pretty cool.
We could still have a president, but it would be like the royal family.
Oh, it's
We just have a guy we elect, but
A
then it
position
could really
holder.
be what it is.
It's
and
just in face. It's just in
it's the
face and
dude.
name.
This is the face of America, and then
Yeah.
you wouldn't have to feel guilty about voting for The Rock when he runs for president.
Yeah, he
I
goes.
saw that.
Oh my god.
He could just go like he just goes and does speeches in other countries saying, "Hey, look how awesome our government is." Well, what are you doing? This, just
Yeah.
this speech here.
I'm
They pay me
PR.
like $150,000 a year to walk around and say how great this shit is. You know, I mean,
That's America's
yeah,
ass.
America, America. There you go. All right, so that was number 7. Number 6
Ooh, number
for the
6.
break.
Says.
Distributism is an economic theory asserting that the world's productive assets should be widely owned rather than concentrated. Developed in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, distributism was based upon the principles of Catholic social teaching, especially the teachers of Pope Leo VIII
Catholic.
and Pope Pius IX. Distributism views both laissez-faire capitalism and state socialism as equally flawed and exploitative, favoring economic mechanisms such as cooperatives and member-owned mutual organizations, as well as small businesses and large-scale competition law reforms such as antitrust regulations. Some Christian democratic political parties, such as the American Solidarity Party, have advocated distributism in their economic policies and party platform. So it kind of, to me, sounded like, when I put this in, communism run by like the
Catholic
Pope.
Church.
Honestly, it's like
Catholic
if the Pope
communism?
was going to do, like Catholic communism. That's the best description, perfect, that I could, something like that. That's what this sounded like. Kind of sounded like communism,
I
right?
vote no.
Or maybe socialism, or some extreme kind of socialism, but with a religious overtone to it.
Like what Jesus would have really wanted.
Yeah, this Jesus definitely would have wanted
What it-
cooperatives and member-owned mutual organizations. I know he was a big fan of that.
It sounds like
He
it's
spoke that into the Bible
What it sounds
and
like
the Koran.
everything goes to the church, and then the church gives everybody what they need.
Yeah, maybe
that's
so,
what
yeah.
that is.
Isn't-
That's some old
Isn't that
timey.
kind of the way the
Tithing?
Vatican does it now? Honestly, isn't that what the collection baskets are for?
No, does the Vatican send collection baskets when they're doing their?
Absolutely.
I don't know, for the big
Do they
church.
really?
Yeah, I'm
Tithing.
sure.
How do you think
Tithing
they
is
get the
biblical.
Pope-mobile?
They actually
didn't know.
mail it
Inside the Vatican City, they do like during their
Yeah, they
their
actually
events.
use Amazon. They mail you like an empty collection basket. You put money in and you mail it back. It's a pre-stamped envelope.
They would get more money.
Adam was like, no,
No,
that
they'd get more
doesn't
money in
happen.
the tithing basket if they hired sexual chocolate. I mean, you saw what happened in Coming to America.
What? Oh yeah, that's a big stack of money.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Sexual chocolate.
That boy good. He good.
He could sing.
That's good. That second movie was good. It was all right.
I didn't see it. It looked so stupid.
it was all right.
People said it was better than it looked. Boy, we got off subject there. From
Yeah, that was a
distributism to sexual chocolate.
we tangented hard.
Hard. Yes.
I mean, the church is a pretty easy whipping post.
Yeah. The
There's
Catholic Church more specifically,
Yeah,
because even
specific-
in the religious community, people will
Yeah.
bash on Catholicism, even though there's a billion Catholics in this world. But I
Yeah.
think that's becoming less and less prevalent in the United States, it seems.
Yo, the Catholic
For some
Church
reason.
has been the most destructive force against humanity
The
in all of history.
Inquisition. Let's begin. The Inquisition.
How about all of the Middle Ages?
The fucking Crusades.
The Inquisition.
They sacked their own city. They were so bloodthirsty.
Yeah, they definitely have
How
some.
about the
rough
cessation
history.
of any science acceleration during the entire Middle? We have 450 years of the Catholic Church saying, no, you can't do any form of science advancement because it is literally heresy. You're not allowed to learn and teach students and progress because you'll go to hell.
But they don't profess
Jesus
any of
was
that
a healer,
kind of
but
stuff now, though.
Medicine, none of that.
They don't. I mean, they don't.
You
They're
can
not
write
that
with
way
your
now.
left hand now.
No, they're not that way now.
They're not that way now.
In fact, they're coming off of their hardcore stance against homosexuals inside the religion, inside the Catholic religion, which is awesome. Except the Pope then was told he was wrong about allowing homosexuals.
the
It's
new
fucking
Pope is
weird.
dope.
Yeah, well, he's not new anymore. He's been the Pope for like 12 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
But
Lewis.
they told him he was wrong, and he was like, I don't fucking care.
I'm the Pope. Who are you gonna say?
It's
talk to
like
God.
saying
Yo,
the word the papacy.
Yeah.
Papist is a fun word.
Papal. Hello, papal. Every time they choose a new pope, it's just, I don't know, I just find that whole thing interesting. And you're watching the smoke. They're voting for the new pope.
I mean,
It's a weird tradition.
I like this new
It
Pope
just is, kind of, yeah.
because he's kind of soft, but that's kind of a good thing. You know,
I like how
he's very accepting.
they're trying to choose older popes now, though, because like John Paul, that dude was pope for like 85 years. I literally, when I was a kid, thought that guy was like God. I was like, oh yeah, God, that's God,
that's
right
Morgan
there.
Freeman.
Like I said, no, that's Pope John Paul. No, he's God. He's been alive forever, right? He's been alive as long as I have. And I'm like 40. Yeah.
I think it'd just be great if the next one could have the same kind of like compassion, but be more of like an old school hard ass Catholic priest guy. He's like, we're gonna use these tithes. Send us more tithes. We're gonna use them to bring down these dudes that fuck children. And someone who like really goes in on his own, like all this stuff we've been doing is done.
Yeah, no, I got you. I got you. Yeah, no, the Catholic religion is realizing that if they want to continue to have people continue to be Catholics, that
they got to evolve a little.
They have to evolve. They have to evolve with the thought process. But it's weird, right? If you're doing everything from the teachings of God, is he like, here's this is the new version. 7.8. Does he just drop it down
that
somewhere?
Sounds very conspiratorial, Ron.
God just dropped a new book there. Yeah, see?
He did.
Yeah, there you go. See this little chapter here? I've highlighted where we made changes.
It's all about how you interpret it, but
just
you
weird.
can't interpret it wrong.
Yeah, right.
Well,
I guess so.
It is to some degree, but like the whole Catholic thing is if you accept Jesus, anything before Jesus doesn't actually matter anymore. It doesn't exist. The whole shtick is accept Jesus, repent, you're good. So none of that other shit is relevant, but they still love to preach it.
Oh, true. All right, well.
On that note, all right, let's take a break. You're going to listen to a little bit of Truphonic in studio. That was 10 through 6, right? I didn't cut you off at 7,
yes.
did I? Whew.
No.
There for a second.
That was
a little bit of a heart attack. I thought I cut Ron off at 7. I'm like, uh-oh, that was 6. All right, take a few minutes, listen to some Truphonic. We will be back in studio here shortly.
Though it took me forever, born and raised in a pasture, until family disaster. The only other road went straight southern for the East Coast. But ever since that I arrived, all the talk about was leaving, and I could care less about some changing of the seasons. And they ain't never lived nowhere, they thought that it was freezing. They don't know what they believe in. Off-road, sun, wind and rain, I never change a thing, because you see me all the way till the judgment day. In the city, as by the sea, that's where I should be. And if it's drowning, well, I'll be swimming. In the city, as by the sea. As my words manifest, I see it's just a big disguise. Our friends I thought they were the best.
Oh, yeah. Coming out of a break to a little bit of... Again, I think I played this last week too, but that's okay. This is my favorite song out of the band Truphonic. That's City by the Sea. So, all right, Ron, you want to recap our in-studio guests as well as our folks in Discord for the top 10 through 6, but also what your list is tonight.
So tonight the list, again, was the top 10 forms of government.
Josh is sitting somewhere going, no politics!
It's not, but it's not politics.
No,
Agreed,
really.
right? This
Right.
has
No,
definitely
has
not
not
been a
been.
political discussion.
No.
This has just been more logistical. No, maybe?
Yeah.
Decent word? Not possible.
Yeah,
I think I
works.
overuse that word because it sounds fancy, and I just learned it 3 days ago. No, I'm just kidding. No, I honestly think I learned that word like 7-8 years ago, and I used the shit out of that word. That and organic. Let's make it organic. Can we do organic? What do you guys think? I like it better when it's organic. Not the food, but things need to just be organic. What does that mean, Ron? I don't know. It just sounds good.
Flows naturally.
Okay, number 10 was geniocracy. That was the smart people rule. And then number 9 was meritocracy. That is like based off your merit, your achievements. Those people rule. And then number 8 was mob rule, ochlocracy, right? Ochlocracy, mob rule. And then number 7 was the one we all seem to love, was the one we can't pronounce, the futarchy, or Futarc.
Futarchy.
Futarchy. That was the one where it's pretty much we don't have politicians. We just everybody
polls on
looks
Facebook.
Everybody looks at the metrics about kind of like that. Everybody, man, could you imagine Facebook being in charge? Oof.
Oh.
Ooh,
Facebookocracy.
Facebookocracy.
Likes and dislikes.
What's the guy who runs Facebook? I forgot his name.
Zimmerman?
Zuckerberg.
Zuckocracy?
Zuckerberg.
Zuckocracy?
Zuckocracy. Suckocracy?
Suckocracy. So that's the one where everybody just kind of sees, okay, so this stuff's working great based off the metrics and the numbers, so we're going to vote for these policies because this is working, and we're voting to change these policies, and we don't really know. It doesn't matter who's in charge. They're just jobs. They're not politicians. They're just pushing the buttons to make happen what we say as we vote on all of the different laws, policies, rules, one by one. We don't vote for people. And then there was the distributism, which was kind of, you gave it a great term there.
Communism.
Yeah, Catholic communism. So communism, but run by the Catholic Church in essence, run by religion.
Because nothing's ever run bad from the Catholics.
So that was number 10 through 6. All right, who's ready for number 5?
Let's do it.
All right.
Number 5.
None of these are spoofs, though, right? None of these are made up or fake.
No,
or...
I swear. There's no twist.
All right.
God, I should have so done that. The Zootocracy or Zuckerberg, like all about Facebook. I should have done it.
Wrapped something in. Yeah.
Damn, I should have. I missed a prime opportunity there. Sorry, guys.
Socratocracy.
Okay. So number 5 is anarcho-capitalism. This one's a little long.
Ooh.
Is a political philosophy and economic theory that advocates the elimination of centralized states in a favor of a system of private property enforced by private agencies.
Ooh, okay.
Free markets and the right libertarian interpretation of self-ownership, which extends the concept to include control of private property as part of the self. I don't know what that means, but it sounds interesting. In the absence of statute, anarcho-capitalists hold that society tends to contractually self-regulate and civilize through participation in the free market, which they describe as a voluntary society. In a theoretical, that's a regular word.
That's not that hard, Ron.
in a theoretical anarcho-capitalist society, the system of private property would still exist and be enforced by private defense agencies and insurance companies. This sounds really bad.
Selected like Blackwaterocracy.
Selected by customers, which would operate competitively in an open market and fulfill the roles of courts and the police. Anarcho-capitalists claim that various theorists have espoused legal philosophies similar to anarcho-capitalism. However, Anarcho-capitalism was developed in the 20th century, and the first person to use the term anarcho-capitalism was Murray Rothbard. Rothbard synthesized elements from the Austrian school, classical liberalism, and 19th century American individualist anarchists. Let's see here. Rothbard's anarcho-capitalist society would operate under a mutually agreed upon legal code which would be generally accepted and which the courts would pledge themselves to follow. This legal code would recognize contracts, private property, self-ownership, and tort law in keeping with the non-aggression principle. Does that make sense to anybody?
100%. And you know what? We're already in that. You understand that, right?
Yeah.
So it sounded like we're like bidding on our society. Everything's like about bids and contracts.
I'll give you an example why we are absolutely in that exact state right now. The private military groups, to include companies that some of us in this room have worked for in the past, are already fulfilling this exact form of government for the U.S. federal government by bidding on contracts to police and enforce law in all sorts of places around the world. And they only win it by their capitalist advantageous bids that they submit to be either best bid or most suitable bidder to compete against the other companies that wanted to do this exact same thing. But it is straight. It's guns on the streets in these locations.
This would be that in the U.S. Like our police department would be bid on. Like a company would say, "Okay, we'll run Palm Bay for you. We'll police Palm Bay."
That would be having Blackwater.
Like companies would exist
instead of Titusville Police Department or Blackwater as your Walmart security guards or what. I understand.
But it sounds like it would be for judges for like everything.
Yeah,
for schools.
Private property too.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, we'll run your school system and we'll bid this on.
Now, while we don't do it inside the United States, sort of, we do it at border patrol stuff. I won't get into that.
So this is taking
that
we do
that overseas right now.
It's more efficient to pay a private contractor to play world police instead of our broken military
because of liability. Yes, I agree with you.
Yes, but you see, because of liability in our society, certain aspects of it, I don't think it's the worst idea. Police, for example, need to have accountability, and they don't because they're the government. Largely.
All right. Yeah, but in the
they
case...
would have accountability.
They would have accountability
if they were having
to
bid on contracts and they were privatized. They'd have more accountability. Because we could just, really? You guys suck. Okay, we're kicking y'all out, and we're putting in this other
So you could legitimately take a
sue the
municipality...
shit out of the police.
No, understood. But you could literally take a municipality police department right now, turn it into this, and bid it out to whatever company wants to come in and offer. Let's just use Blackwater because we've said it so many times, or I've said it. Blackwater could come in, offer their bid, and it could be Blackwater policing the municipality of that town.
Absolutely.
Obeying by the terms of the contract, but they could still be taking lives if they deem it necessary as acting law enforcement officers.
Right.
That's an interesting concept.
And but that private company would take the liability, and thus they wouldn't be able to just not look at things. When something goes wrong, they would be scrutinized more as opposed to less.
Yeah, they want to win the next contract. So they want to do a good job.
But they also don't want to get sued out of their profits.
Yeah, they don't want to get sued out of their profits.
Yeah. They have a two-pronged reason to do the job well, and they would have to explain proposed budget increases as opposed to just asking for them and
just
not
getting it done.
saying what they want.
Interesting.
You could actually combine that, because remember you asked in the Futarchi or whatever, right? Well, you were like, what about like laws and police and all that? So let this be the whole laws, police,
so we're gonna
judges,
have
everything.
Futocracy as well as
and we vote again.
Anarcho. What is this?
And all the people vote on those contracts, just like all the people vote on everything else in the Futarchy.
That is really interesting.
Yeah, just combine. You can fuse them. I like it.
Anarcho-frutarcal capitalism.
Yeah, exactly. Futarcho capitalism. I like it. We just made our own up. That's the twist. That's the twist. Made our own twist.
Dude, that's really bizarre.
Yep. I thought that one, it didn't make as much sense until you guys kind of, like we talked it out. I'm like, okay, I think I understand this one.
But it doesn't say anything about taxes.
Now, well, again, that would probably be in our fusion.
Yeah.
That would be all voted on in the way, hey, this is working out to have this much taxes on this, that, and the other, and we're all voting on our own tax law as well. We're voting on every law, every guideline, every policy. God, voting would take forever. You just, instead of like voting on 10, 12, 15 people.
It's a rolling thing. Yeah, I wish I knew this was your list. I could have given you a great one to put on there.
Hey, well,
He still has 4 more.
I have 4 more, plus save it at the end. You can just kick it out. Hey, here's one. So wait till after the list is done, because maybe it's on here, maybe it's not.
Yeah.
But there's some interesting ones on here still. Especially, you won't believe number 1.
There it is. Oh, that's her down.
So bad.
I'm waiting for Lord of the Flies.
Okay, so that was number 5. Number 4, theocracy, which is one we've all heard of, is a form of government in which a deity of some type is recognized as the supreme ruling authority, giving divine guidance to human intermediaries that manage the day-to-day affairs of the government. The imperial cult of ancient Rome identified Roman emperors and some members of their families with the divinely sanctioned authorities of the Roman state. The official offer of cultus to a living emperor acknowledged his office and rule as divinely approved and constitutional. His principate should therefore demonstrate pious. Pious? What does that word mean?
Pious.
Godly?
Pious respect for traditional republican deities and mores. So pretty much the gods, right? Back then in the Romans, like everything was kind of like, oh, the gods,
You
the
still,
gods.
you still
pray
see
to the
that today
gods.
in some places, isn't it? And forgive my ignorance of world facts, especially on religion and politics, but isn't China a theocracy? Isn't the religion is in the state, not in a deity?
I have no idea. No clue.
Well, a theocracy means that the state
Is the
makes
deity.
law based on the teachings of a deity.
Right, but maybe it's North Korea. Maybe it's North Korea that is the state is the deity.
Yeah, it's kind of a theocracy. I think they call him he's like the god emperor or something like that.
I agree. I know it's more fitting for a monarchy, but in that case, I think because maybe it was North Korea, not China, that I was actually thinking of, but in one of those countries, communist really kind of led style countries, it's more of the state itself is the deity. So when you won't have a god, you won't believe in Christianity, or you won't be a Muslim or anything. You'll be a devout follower of the state.
I think that's different than this. I think this is more
Theocracy is more Middle Ages.
Yeah,
Middle
like
Ages,
the gods.
East, or Western
like
Europe.
you're allowing the Greek gods, the Roman gods back in the day. They're the ones supposedly making the laws you're following are supposedly the laws that they have created.
Zeus, Aphrodite.
Yes, exactly.
Or medieval England.
Yeah,
where the king was sanctioned by the church, and the king and the church had their thing. And
I thought they pulled swords out of rocks, and that's who decided who was king.
No, that's
Let's move on.
That's if you can pick up the hammer
Hang
and
on,
you're worthy.
I'll do it. Oh wait, no, I fucked it all up. There you go.
There you go.
That's for me,
I was
Ron.
like, why are you cheering that?
That's the wrong button. I'm still learning the colors over here.
Yeah. How are you now?
Green should not be the go-to button color for the want want sound effect. That shouldn't be green. That should be like dark red or something.
Yeah, well, who has the control of that?
Yeah, I know. I'll work on that.
Anyway, so that was number 4,
All right.
theocracy. Number 3, liquid democracy. Liquid democracy is a form of delegative democracy whereby an electorate has the option of vesting voting power in delegates as well as voting directly themselves. Liquid democracy is a broad category of either already existing or proposed popular control apparatuses. Voters can either vote directly or delegate their vote to other participants. Voters may also select different delegates for different issues. In other words, individual A of a society can delegate their power to individual B and withdraw such power again at any time. Liquid democracy lies between direct and representative democracy. In direct democracy, participants must vote personally on all issues, while in representative democracy, participants vote for representatives once in certain election cycles. Meanwhile, liquid democracy does not depend on representatives, but rather on a weighted and transitory delegation of votes. Liquid democracy through elections can empower individuals to become sole interpreters of the interests of the nation. It allows for citizens to vote directly on policy issues, delegate their votes on one or multiple policy areas to delegates of their choosing, delegate votes to one or more people, delegated to them as a weighted voter, or get rid of their votes delegations whenever they please. Most of the available academic literature on liquid democracy is based on empirical research rather than on specific conceptualization of or theories. Experiments have mostly been conducted on a local level or exclusively through online platforms. However, polity examples are listed below, which I did not list because that got too long.
So
it kind of sounded like a little bit kind of what we do with our president as far as the delegates versus we don't actually directly.
Oh, I misinterpreted that then.
We don't actually
did not
directly
get that.
vote. See, I
didn't get that either.
Yeah, we vote for delegates who then vote for our president. That's what this is, but take that for everything. Do that for everything. We're not going to vote for the person. We're going to vote for these
For the
delegates,
party.
and they're going to vote.
See, I took it
for
as
whoever they want to vote for.
I took it as let's say you're a Democrat, I'm a Republican by our party affiliation.
Okay.
And you're going to vote, and all of the Democrats will vote for their Democratic Party, and then once the Democrats have won, then they say, okay, and then this guy's going to be president from our Democratic Party. So it's a liquid democracy, meaning they'll say who is fulfilling or being delegated to the office of president after those votes have already come in. That's how I kind of took that, is you vote for the platform of the party first, as opposed to the individual, and as opposed to the politician
I
itself.
did not get that.
I
at
took
all.
how
it
I
more
took
that
it.
we're nominating or voting for our delegates, and they're going to vote for whatever they're going to vote for.
How did you take it?
I took it as, so let's say you are not politically involved or you're not into like environmentalism or something. You can say, yeah, I'm going to let you vote for my vote on environmentalism, but you're like really into something else. I'm going to vote on each of these laws.
Oh, I'm going to vote on this stuff, but I
Is
don't know
it a
anything
point-
about this shit, so I'm going to
Yeah.
use you to let you
Is
vote
it-
on that. Yeah, I think she's right.
Is it
I
a
think she's
point-based
right.
system? You get 20 points. Put those 20
I mean,
points
you
in your
get-
top 20 things, and
I don't know.
the rest of
You-
them just let them go.
you
That'd be kind of cool,
you
though.
You know what the laws are, and
No,
you
that-
tell somebody, you say, Adam, I'm letting you vote on this because you know about
Yeah,
this.
you know about this shit. I'll just trust you,
So
bro.
I'm going to let you vote. But
Yeah.
you know what? I know about wood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm voting for
So I'm gonna vote
I
on
vote for
wood.
I know,
wood.
I know about wood, too.
I bet you do.
I know a lot about wood.
Delegation of your vote on specific issues to those you trust to know more about it than you.
Interesting. It seems like a lot of logistics to keep up with.
Yeah, I don't
See what
like-
I did there?
Yeah, it is logistics.
and you
It's
could-
very organic.
And to be fair, you could just do that anyway. If I trust you and your particular opinion and experience on a particular issue, I could just be like, "Hey, man, I trust you and your experience on this issue. What would be your recommendation?"
I kind of did this with the team. So when it came up to the vote for Brevard
poll?
County Sheriff, when
Oh,
that vote
yeah.
came up, I turned to the team and I
yeah.
asked the team, I'm like, guys, I really don't know a lot about either one of these candidates. So, I mean, I know, let's not get into it.
Yeah.
What's your guys' opinion? And the information that came out of the conversation with the team changed my vote. Was it you that changed
was
it?
me.
Okay.
Now, what you could have done in this
I say
liquid,
changed it. It
in
solidified
this
my vote for the
liquid
candidate that
democracy,
you guys recommended.
instead of asking, "Hey, I don't really know
I could
anything
just give
about,"
it. Say, Steph, you vote for me for the.
say,
for
"Yeah,
this
say,
person?
Steph, I delegate you to vote for this for me because I don't know shit
Free
about
up that brain space
Yep.
completely.
So then your politicians would change from being the politician leading the run on their party. It would be the politician leading to absorb the most of the nation's votes. Like, I am the smartest person on Brevard County Sheriffs. Send me all your votes. So that would be your politician.
It would scream to me. It would scream to me more corruption.
You know what those are
because
called?
you're
That would
putting-
be a super lobbyist. That
Yeah,
would basically be what that is.
exactly,
Is a
because
super lobbyist.
as you have these delegates, like it's people kind of put themselves maybe in a prime, way to like to be a delegate. Oh, I really like this guy. He seems to know a lot about a lot of things. I'm going to vote for him to be my delegate. Then those people become extremely corrupted by the politicians trying to get their vote. I think this system is just wrought
Equally as
with
corruptible.
I think-
probably even more so.
you would see the political equivalent of a hostile takeover a company by purchasing all of its stock over
Yes.
a long period of time.
the delegates are like the stocks.
yeah.
Yes.
The stock,
I
vote,
hate
vote
this
stocking.
concept. I think it's
Oh, that's a good
Yeah.
I think it's a real bad idea.
You'd have
I think
Completely
it's just
sway that
political
vote at the last
insider
minute.
trading.
I am in charge of 17 million votes regarding Brevard County Sheriff.
Exactly.
Who should I vote for?
I vote aye.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yes.
why I think that
That's a
kind
good
of
point,
thing would
yeah.
happen a lot.
God,
I
that's
think it
confusing.
just gives people more control over the ability to vote on laws when they are wanting to be politically involved, but like maybe they don't have time or they can't write laws or whatever. So it gives them the ability to not have to trust stranger. They can make that choice as well, who they're trusting.
Yeah, I mean, if I could just do it to my friend, like if I could just give, like, dude, if I'm gonna vote on these, I'm gonna vote on these new bourbon laws, dude. Dan, you're the bourbon man. I'm just giving you my vote. I trust whatever bourbons you vote for that'll be available at the store. I know they're gonna be good. But instead, it probably wouldn't end up that way. It would be so hard to become a delegate. It would become corruptible. Like, you know, the rando person can't just go become a delegate. That's what would probably end up happening. If it could be fair, if I could just give my vote to Adam, say, Adam, dude, you know about this stuff. I don't.
Then let's fuse it again. Use the delegate-based voting system.
Yes.
With the very first one, number 10, the IQ-based system. So you have to pass a test to get to the delegate stage, and then you get the delegate captures for, you know, the bourbon.
Which we already
How
agree
dare
that
you tarnish fuckracy by this nonsense.
Fuckracy, that's the best. That's fine. It needs a better word than that, because fuckracy sounds bad.
Fuckracy better be in your bumper.
As well, because you would need their merits. Like, you can be smart and not be smart on science.
That's true.
All right.
You'd be like, yeah, I know history real well, but like the Earth is flat.
Yeah, like
because history says it is.
I'm real good at physics, but when you take them 6 steps into organic chemistry, I'm not so good.
Organic, yeah, boom, organic.
This is a synergy of Composium's thoughts tonight.
It is, logistically speaking. Okay, that was liquid democracy. You drink it.
That was elegant.
Okay.
It's almost a soliloquy you just did for us, Rob.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that sounds like a indie band that comes out during election season.
Number 2. Ethnocracy.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, exactly where you think it's going. Exactly where you think it's going.
Racist!
An ethnocracy is a type of political structure in which the state apparatus is controlled by a Dominic, by a guy named Dominic.
Wait, this is the mob again.
Yeah, there you go. By a dominant ethnic group or groups to further its interests, power, and resources. What did you say?
White people.
White people? Ethnocratic regimes typically display a thin, so you can't be fat and be in charge. No, a thin democratic facade. Facade covering a more profound ethnic structure in which ethnicity or race or religion and not citizenship is the key to securing power and resources.
This one's just going to make me mad.
This is literally
an ethnocratic society facilitates the ethnicization.
Are you Southern?
Ethnization. Yeah, you try and pronounce it.
What is it?
Ethnicization.
Ethnicization.
Euthanization.
That's hard to say.
Euthanization. That's the better one.
You gotta pronunciate it. You gotta pronunciate it like those who, you know, like this government would.
Of the state. Well, should I just read the whole thing like this?
There's an ethnicization in here.
Ethnization of the state
drunk when saying
by. Hold on, make sure I'm going to by the dominant group through the expansion of control, likely accompanied by conflict with minorities or neighboring states.
Likely.
Yes, a theory of ethnocratic regimes was developed by critical geographer Oren. Oh, I am not going to be able to pronounce his name. Oren Yiftichel. During the 1990s and later developed by a range of international scholars. In the 20th century, a few states passed or attempted to pass nationality laws through efforts that share certain similarities. All took place in countries with at least one national minority that sought full equality in the state or in a territory that had become part of the state in which it had lived for generations. Nationality laws were passed in societies that felt threatened by these minorities, aspirations of integration and demands for equality, resulting in regimes that turned xenophobia into major tropes. These laws were grounded in one ethnic identity, defined in contrast to the identity of the other, leading to persecution of and codified discrimination against minorities. So yeah, this one's bad. Let's not fuse it with anything.
Dan, what did you say earlier? This was just colonial America?
Yeah. I mean, colonial America or anywhere in Western Europe.
Dude, there's so many governments that probably touch on this type of stuff or still have the root of their government. You know, even if it's
there's
blue
a lot
law.
of people that would, you know, to talk about the elephant in the room. There's a lot of people that still say that this has some bearing in today's
there's people
American
that would
society.
love for this to be the form of government that we have, of
just
course.
talking about the elephant in the room.
Yeah. Exactly. So that was ethnocracy.
I see. That took a minute. That took me a minute to get it, but I see what you did there. That's pretty good. I like that.
So yeah,
Elephant.
that one's bad.
To be fair, you did it.
I didn't mean to do it that way, but you took my joke and made it even better.
I was
Thank
trying
you.
to make
That's
it
what we
not
do in
political,
here.
so I ignored the donkey in the room.
Well, no, it's. I understand.
There you go. Yes.
I
There
got you.
you
Yeah,
go.
this one just makes me mad. This is just
Yeah.
this
one's
the,
just bad.
The worst.
the fact
The
that
worst.
many Stephanie's air quoted when you said it, many international scholars
many international
contributed to
scholars.
this idiocracy
Yeah.
is phenomenal
Why?
to me.
Why even
but what's this-
conceptualize something like this?
It's just legitimizing a terminology for hate. That's all that
but-
seems to be doing to me.
yeah.
But
yeah,
Adam,
agreed.
that many scholars and the article that this is being read from, it was written by a supporter of this, and he was naming these many scholars, aka famous racists. Like, it's not that hard. Also, he pointed something out also in there about how a lot of the places where this had come up and been promoted it was shortly preceded by the fact that a minority or indigenous group was
They were seeking integration
equality in
Yep.
that area, and so these things came out by the
Hey, let's just make laws where they can't do that. Jesus. Yeah. Crazy.
Yes,
Crazy.
agreed.
Fucking.
global reverse of that. The
I don't
dominant
like.
group everywhere doesn't get a say anymore, and then everybody would end up mixing out of necessity.
Yes.
No
I
more
I thumbs
racism.
down number 2, Ron.
Mhm,
Yes, definitely. We're not
Yeah.
fusing it with any
Number
damn
yeah.
thing.
two.
Burn it.
Number
is a
2
severe number
sucks,
2.
but I
Appreciate the information on it.
I put it number 2 up for obvious
not your
reasons
fault.
because it's
Oh, number 2. I see what you did there. You said number 2.
take a shit on it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, we shit on ethnocracy.
Yeah, we shit on number 2. Okay, number 1, or is on my list it
Number
says
1.
number 10. if you're listening to this and could tell me how to take a 1 through 10 on Word and reverse it 10 through 1, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Just turn
Thanks.
paper upside down.
Yeah, okay. I'll just turn the laptop upside down.
Did you type 10 period space?
Yeah, but it goes to number 11.
And-
You should
Yeah,
be able
then
to
it
right
just goes
click,
to number
choose
11.
change numbering, but that's
Yeah, there's a little A through Z with a down line that you can push descending, but then they said you're supposed to push column on the left. Column wasn't available, so fuck
you have
you,
to go data
internet,
format and
I'll,
whatever.
I'll
With
help
your
you after this.
for your shitty instructions.
Just tell Alexa to do it for you.
Alexa,
I've been a
This-
document manager.
this
Oh,
is
Google.
this is a Windows computer.
Steph will hook you up.
Yeah, I was a document manager.
Oh, okay. You can teach me how to do it. That's exciting.
Maybe. How old are you? Do you know how to open a PDF?
Oof.
Yes,
Ouch.
Okay, then she can help you.
I can even take a Word document and make it a PDF.
My man.
Isn't that amazing? Do that all the time at work.
I need that button to go.
All right, number 1. Netocracy. Any guesses?
Netocracy, so not
N-E-
necroc.
Netocracy.
No, you're pronouncing it wrong. It's nedocracy.
Okay,
It's
Neato.
Neato. No, I
Neato.
have no netocracy.
Or
Netocracy.
Netocracy. Any guesses?
Is it anything to do with the modern day internet and infrastructure?
Boom!
Really?
Look at this
Seriously?
guy.
It was gonna be.
Netocracy was a
Fucking
term.
nailed it.
Netocracy was a term invented by the editorial board of the American technology magazine Wired in the early 1990s.
I'm just gonna give myself a little. Okay, thanks.
There
Carry
you
on.
go.
Carry on.
Netocracy refers to a perceived global upper class that bases its power on a technology advantage and networking skills, in comparison to what is portrayed as a I don't know how to pronounce this word. Bourgeois. Man,
Bourgeoisie.
Yes.
Bourgeoisie. Or
Bourgeoisie.
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 Yes, it's the root word of bougie.
It's like fancy.
It's a bougie. Bourgeoisie.
That's pinky in the air. That's bourgeoisie.
Of a gradually diminishing importance. The concept was later picked up and redefined by Alexander Bard and John Soderquist of their book Netocracy, The New Power, Elite, and Life After Capitalism. Published in English by Reuters Purcell UK. Okay, I don't need to put that. It was in parentheses. Sorry. The netocracy concept has been compared with Richard Florida's concept of the creative class. Bard and
This is the digital
Soderquist
divide.
have also defined an underclass in opposition to the netocracy, which they refer to as the consummariat, something like that. So yeah, so this one is just more of like a technology kind of taking over.
When high speed bandwidth, like when the 1 meg per second bandwidth started to come out in like 1999, 2000 era, when you were able to get more than like a double modem speed connected at a reasonable, affordable price, somebody wrote a book called The Digital Divide, and it talks about the middle upper class, worldwide population, not just the Americans, but the middle upper class that can afford high-speed internet access to university resource material, all of this stuff, versus the impoverished societies that could not afford to keep up with the evolving state of technology. And it was literally creating this digital divide amongst humans to where you had those that had and those that had not. And those that had not were starting to fall behind at such a rate that it was impossible, just kind of propagating the poverty, trying to crawl out of poverty into a decent, income. They were drawing an analysis to bandwidth speeds and the escalation over the next 10, 20, 30 years of bandwidth and resource availability to that same digital divide. So that same impoverished family, now it wasn't just about going to the library and getting the same books as the upper middle class or the upper class. Now it was literally a technological barrier that those people could not afford to reach into the same resources and have that same, availability. So this kind of sits on that same thing. Your upper class people that have availability to this level of technology to create the laws that govern us. Isn't that kind of what we're at now, though? I mean, isn't it?
Because there is a lot of people that still just, there's still areas, it sounds weird to us, but there's still areas of the country that don't have government.
Government or internet?
Or no, don't have internet. Sorry.
Anarchy.
Anarchy.
Let's
they
move
don't
there.
have internet. Like they don't have access to at least high speed internet anyway.
No.
They probably have a phone by now, but it's not the same,
There's no significantly populated area of the country where you cannot get high speed internet.
But do they have the access in their home on a laptop, on a computer? Do they even have a computer? Like in the
That's a personal choice.
like
at
in
that
the
point.
heart,
There's no
like in
barrier.
Or financial. It could be a financial burden.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
But
In financial,
it's not. It's a common household bill like water or electricity at this point, and it's something you choose to have or not to have. There's no barrier to access anymore.
But okay, so when we had virtual school really start this past year or last year, they had a problem with lower income areas where the
absolutely
people
locally
did not have internet because
absolutely.
they couldn't afford it, and so companies they were doing reduced or free internet for kids
as well as free laptops. The state of Florida provided free laptops to students that were in the poverty. How they classified their parents classified their taxes when they were in poverty incomes, they would get free laptops from the state.
Yeah, and the state is duty driven to provide solutions and access to education to all children in their district.
That's good, but what I think Stephanie was drawing a line to is that the pandemic drew light.
It shined a light on the fact that
giant problem.
Yeah, it's a bigger problem than we realize. It really is.
And because part of it comes down to we were talking about earlier, we have the ability to grab our phones and look stuff up, and there's people in our own country they don't have that ability to look up any information, and so they don't have the same access to learning
or the education that kind of draws into the same barrier. They don't know how to do the same type of stuff that you're just doing to look up Raelians.
Yeah,
they wouldn't know how to do that. Not to say they're unintelligent, they just hadn't been taught
haven't been exposed to it. They're not
skills
exposed
of the
it's
Jedi.
not an everyday thing.
Right.
There's still some school systems out there that are antiquated that are just teaching old school. Here's books, here's paper, here's ditto forms. They're not really, integrating a technology in some school systems, mostly because they're either in areas that are just mentally stuck in the past or budgetary, constraints, etc.
I bet you didn't think Netocracy would draw to a debate on underprivileged versus privileged.
I was thinking more when I was reading Netocracy, I was thinking more of this fusion of being led by people and some kind of internet hive mind. That's where my brain went with it.
Oh,
yeah,
man,
like
why
an
didn't you
AI
incorporate
rule. That's where I thought this would lead to.
That should have been your made up one.
Instead it led to
artificial
government sucks.
when you were first talking about it, I was just thinking about, there are some people who are significantly on the path to what I thought you were talking about, which is basically Gates, Zuck, Bezos, and Daddy Musk are going to be the 4 overlords of Earth at some point.
Now Musk will
That's
move
a
to Mars.
netocracy.
Musk will be a Mars.
Oh yeah, he'll take Mars.
It's interesting our thought process. So you just said Bezos, Zuckerberg, Musk, and Gates. And I'd say at least 3 of the 4 of those are just hated by so many people. I don't know if Elon Musk has somehow managed to be. Yeah, he has like a cult following.
He's the ultimate cult leader.
He's like the real world Tony Stark. I think people kind of look at him as that. So he has that kind of coolness about him, SpaceX and all that. But the rest, I mean, the conspiracy theories that fly around Gates, especially, it's just
he's building a Jurassic
ridiculous.
Park, by the way.
Who Musk is? Yeah, I read.
Is that real?
I read the article. No, I read the article.
Well,
the article said the technology exists they have the technology that they could, if they wanted to, build a real world Jurassic Park. That's what he said. That was his quote. I don't know that he's actually trying to do it.
They have made movies of it.
Do not do it.
Why it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Movie after movie after movie.
Yeah.
That was the initial impression.
You know what? I think I'm going to delegate this vote to Jeff Goldblum and allow him to tell us, do you think this is a good idea, yes or no?
God, you gotta love some Jeff Goldblum.
I would love if they said, if actually they said, well, what if they mate and have babies? And Musk
Nature
actually said,
finds a way.
no, we have made sure that can't happen. Enter Jeff Goldblum.
That would be hilarious. Laying half shirt off in the middle of the room.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Was he? Okay, we're getting way off subject here. Was he not just amazing in Ragnarok, in Thor Ragnarok?
Ron's got a little bit of a crush over there, I think.
He was so awesome in that. He was just so.
Seen a Thor
he was
movie.
Jeff Goldblum in Marvel. That's what he was.
He was take Jeff Goldblum, just put him in a Marvel movie, playing himself as always.
Yeah, character actor.
So amazing.
I originally, this is hard tangent, listeners, sorry. Originally, when that movie came out, I watched it. I was disappointed because it was so campy compared to your traditional Marvel movie. I understand there's campy comedy that's inside all Marvel movies, except this one was 95% campy comedy and less about the actual experience of the. But I understand that's how the comic book, and Josh Wilson explained this to me. He said that is how the comic book for Ragnarok, the whole series, was written, is that it was incredibly campy. It was meant to be cheesy. It was meant to be exaggerated in areas. That was part of that whole universe of the collectors, and that's what you're just supposed to take away from it.
Another thing I will also mention too, again, we are really tangenting here. It's kind of like more of an after show subject, but
a little bit.
Hard cut.
Comedies in general, like your classic just comedy movies, are starting to go away a little bit, and there's less and less of them because people are getting their comedies from action and superhero movies. Like Ragnarok is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. It's like a comedy, but it also gives me action, it gives me superhero, it gives me everything, which is part of what makes it such a great movie. But a lot of the Marvel movies were funny. I mean, they all have good comedy in them. Ragnarok just took it to a new level. I didn't actually know that series, the comic book, that's why. I just thought they decided, let's go super funny on this one. You know, Guardians of the Galaxy are the same way, like high level of comedy.
I expect
with those
that
movies.
out of that. Yeah, I expected it out of that, but not to the level of campiness that Ragnarok had. Ragnarok takes it up to an 11.
That's why Jeff Goldblum was so perfect.
Great comedy is universal. It's like ranch dressing. You put that shit on everything.
Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, so
you put comedy on Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and Zuck, and bam, people would like them more.
I guess
those
so.
guys are not entertaining at all, though.
Especially Zuck.
Zuck is hard to. He's like watching paint dry. He is very boring. Musk at least is.
Yeah,
if anybody made me sus
wrong,
of the whole lizard conspiracy, it's
show
Zuck.
his alien
lizard Illuminati.
Have you seen the video of this dude trying to drink? Well, it wasn't like the water glass of Watergate. I don't fucking know. But like Zuckerberg trying to drink water on the stand on the camera, he looked like he had no idea how to use his mouth.
Is this when he was being questioned by the
government?
What is it? The
Senate or something?
Senate, yeah, by Senate, yeah.
Yeah.
That was. He's super pale, right?
Was
like,
that
he
recent?
sick.
Was that recently?
No, that was a few years ago. It's when it's when the whole help me out here, Cambridge Analytica thing happened.
Oh,
it's when the data corruption
case
case
happened.
happened.
After the previous election.
I mean, the
this
dude's
was
just really shit in front of a camera still after being like the 12th richest person on the planet.
Well, good thing
just shit on camera.
Facebookocracy isn't now. Dan, just so then we're gonna wrap this up. You said there was one you said you could give me if you'd known I was writing this list.
Yes,
there was one you could give me. I was interested to know what that was.
So it's it's more of a, I called the other one like a plug-in to anarchy, right? It's more like a plug-in to our current system, and you scrap the entire election system, put it all on a roaming scale. Just like voting centers are open year-round, and you go vote every quarter. And it's just an approval rating.
Well,
if your approval rating drops too much for too long of time, new election. And just roll
the way
them in
they do it in the UK
out.
is kind of different because they don't have a predetermined every 4 years on this day, November so-and-so, the first Tuesday of a month in November, every 4 years you vote. They don't do it that way. The president's just like, shit's going pretty good for me right now. Let's do the election tomorrow. Did you know that's how they do it?
I did not.
That's really weird.
Yeah, that's dumb.
I don't think they can do that all the time, but I think they can do
isn't that how Putin does it?
I voted. I don't even know how he stays in power. Like his position that he originally had.
Said he can run for two more terms.
I'm the guy
Jesus.
forever. He created a position for himself to stay in power that didn't even exist before. It's weird, but yeah, that's the way they do it. The prime minister just says, "Yeah, you know what? Our party's kicking ass. I'm kicking ass. Elections, let's do it in a couple months. I think it's going well."
It's like
I don't know how. I know there's rules about how often they can do it, how many times they can do it. Like I'm not exaggerating it. Really, they do it that way, but I don't think they can do it that way indefinitely all the time. Maybe they run. I think they can do that like one time, kind of choose when their election's going to be.
Do they still wear the white wigs?
You know what I'm trying to think.
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm gonna really dork out here. This is not sexy, but when I was a teenager, I used to really get into prime minister questions because that shit was so much more entertaining than our government. Like, imagine the president once a week, doesn't matter who, Trump, Biden, Reagan, who cares, right? Has to get in front of the Congress and the Senate, right? The House of Lords and the House of Commons, they call it there. Has to sit there, like down at their whole thing is a giant circle.
Yep.
Ours is more of a galley, right? Theirs is a giant circle. There's a president. Like we have a president of the Senate who sits there, whoever it happens to be at the time. And imagine you sit there and you have your book of notes, right? And the leader of the other party's on the other side of this big round table, but he's just right on the other side of you. And imagine he gets up and he starts, "Why is it that every time," they start doing that, and he stands up and everybody's like, yeah, like cheering and yelling.
It's South
and then
Park.
the president has to get up and he stands and he starts, and it's always insults and comedy. Like they still do it this way. I don't know if it's like every week, every other week. They call it prime minister questions, and they're all jeering and cheering and clapping, and it's really like
and hissing.
But it's almost a spectacle. It's a show. I don't think they're accomplishing shit, to be honest with you. I mean, I wouldn't know. Most of the things you're listening to them say just don't make sense, especially for us. They're talking about rules and laws and government.
Chip, cheerio.
Yeah, exactly. But and then you hear the president with I think he does wear, just the one guy, I believe he wears a white wig.
Still.
Yeah,
yes.
and like gaveling, order, as everybody's laughing and jeering.
I've seen this show on
interesting.
MTV. It's what Nick Cannon, Wildin' Out.
Wildin' Out. But they call
it's a rap battle.
It's still on.
Yes.
It's on C-SPAN. I haven't looked for it for years and years, but probably you could find it on C-SPAN. It's called Prime Minister Questions. They still do it this way. It's
Or you
interesting.
just
Could you
change
imagine our presidents, like Trump or Biden, either one, having to do this once a week? Like, it would be a shit show.
Yeah.
Way more so than even that is.
Change your VPN to London. I'm sure you could pull it up and live
Oh,
stream
yeah, that's a
it.
good point.
Yeah, they do. Like, it was on C-SPAN Sunday mornings at like 6 or 7 in the morning, because obviously they're 5 hours ahead of what we are.
Sunday morning coming down. It's my favorite radio show.
Sunday morning what?
Sunday morning coming down. It's all bluegrass and throwback country music on.
Sounds it sounds good
so
after
good.
a Saturday night of drinking heavily.
Is it easy like a Sunday morning, Ron?
Easy like Sunday morning.
go.
Gotcha.
Dude, that was a good list, though.
All right, thanks. I thought it definitely sparked debate without getting political. Mostly.
You somehow took politics and the dangerous topic that it is at least inside the Twisted 10 studios, and turned it into a really good, non-politically slanted list that hopefully taught some people some things about some of these different types of
I knew it would go
governments.
that way because
I'm
it was a debate about
anarcho-photocracy.
our anarcho-photocracy.
Anarcho-photocracy.
Anarcho-photography.
Because the debate wasn't about policy. The debate was about the structure of the government. Completely different. That's why it didn't get off into some weird political rant.
Yeah, good point.
And I figured that's the way it would go. I wasn't really in fear that it was going to get out of hand to some stupid, especially right now with my mindset.
I really wish there would be one, and maybe netocracy.
I'm out on all of that shit.
Maybe
Out.
netocracy has a little bit to do with that, but we kind of touched on it. I would love to hear one proposal form of government that has to do with AI driving all of the political decisions for us. That'd be very interesting to hear, to let a robot control the government. Granted,
Sounds
it'll
like
never
something
happen.
a
Of course, they
robot
can't
would
even.
say.
But they can't even.
My name is Mark
Dude.
Zuckerberg. Oh, wait, what?
But it's already been proven
Red
just a
sus.
few years ago. They can't even control a Twitter account without getting wildly racist.
The computer that managed that account has evolved immensely since
Well,
then.
is it back on? Is it running a Twitter account, or do they still not
No,
trust it yet?
It has a bunch of blocks on the internet from all of its hate speech, so no, it can't be turned back on.
It's awesome.
Dan, you know about that, don't you?
Oh yes.
Okay, you guys
yes,
know
they
about that.
they created digital Hitler.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Who turned bad quick?
Why does that happen?
People have done
that's
that.
just proof we
People are
can't
racist.
have real AI.
People have done that with a lot of different AIs, though. Like, I think there was one that people went in and turned it into like a porn spewing smut bot, just by
Right.
spamming it with dirty talk.
Well,
Nice.
I delegate
You can do that. They
I
learn like
delegate all my
children.
votes to that. I like it. Hey, before we get out of here, guys, short thanks to our Twisted Council. Thank you so much for supporting the show and everything that you do.
Many thanks to the council.
Thank you to
Here,
Discord.
chip, chip, cheerio.
Cheerio. Order.
We're now theming Twisted 10 all around the United Kingdom's way of doing their Prime Minister
I'm
Day.
sure there's we had a few interesting topics about the government in England, didn't we? But
Yeah.
I'm sure that I butchered it all. I'm sure I did. Just
We've
like
got a UK listener going,
what the
fucking Yanks.
Alloy me. All right, God, that was bad. Thank you to Discord and everybody participating in Discord, and a special thanks to Truephonic supplying all these awesome tunes, and you hear infused throughout the episodes.
Hell yes. Dan and Steph, thank you guys very much for coming up tonight and filling in for Mr. Wilson's absence in studio. We appreciate
we
it.
Doing an after show?
I'm open if you guys want. Are you guys
I'm open.
to hang out for another 30 minutes or so?
Yeah, as long as you can drive.
Oh yeah, I'm driving, so
Yeah.
Kick ass.
it's all good.
Well, for
Tonight's drive home to Palm Bay is brought to you by Knob Creek. Just kidding.
I was actually playing this out with Truephonic. I need to stop that one and start us back into our actual outro. But yeah, for our council members, you guys will hear this. Council members, you'll hear this inside Patreon. So go to twistedten.com. At the bottom is some information for you if you want to become a council member. It's all that you have to do. On behalf of the Twisted 10, I'm Adam. To our host tonight,
I'm Ron.
and to our guests,
I'm Stephanie.
I'm Dan.
thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next week.